Lillian McDermott, weekdays at noon on AM 1510, FM 99.9, 94.7, and 100.7. The views expressed on the following program are those of the hosts, callers, and guests, and are not necessarily those of WMEL staff, management, or advertisers.
Used to walk in the shade.
Seniors of Brevard. My name is Kay Kaiser, the information specialist of Helping Seniors of Brevard. And today, I'm fortunate, I'm sitting in for Mr. Joe Steckler, our founder, president, who's on a special assignment. But before I go any further, I want to make sure that the listening audience knows what Helping Seniors is all about. Our mission is to improve the quality of life for seniors in Brevard County by providing information, education, and places and resources that they're looking for. So a lot of seniors may not have a computer. They may depend on solely their evening news on their television or a newspaper. And trust me, the amount of calls is across the board looking for a variety of different resources. So if you are a senior or a caretaker, rather, looking for assistance in finding services for health, household, legal, financial, or other needs, by all means call 321-473-7770. And before I introduce our guest today, I'd like to give a special thanks to a number of our partners who make this radio show possible. So let me begin with Aldea Today, Barefoot Tattler, Neurogenics in Rockledge, Canadian Meds in Melbourne, Courtney and Braswell Financial Group, Ebony News Today, Ear Care, Handy Pro The Space Coast, Hometown News, In-Home Personal Services, Kindred at Home, Levin Home Care Nurse Registry, and we'll stop with Organized Creative Designs and pick up on the second half of our program the remainder of our partners that do make this possible. But I also have another special announcement that I would like to make sure our listening audience is aware of. I'm sure you've seen in our newsletter, and I believe it was even in Florida today regarding we've got a Jaguar, a 1992 Jaguar that we're raffling off this Saturday. And tickets are still available at all Gatto's Tire and Auto Services throughout Brevard County. Or if you'd like to run a credit card, you can call me at 321-473-7770. So our time is coming down. This is a beautiful ruby red Jaguar with, I believe, only 38,000 miles on it. So somebody's going to be a lucky candidate driving that baby around town. So it's a beauty, and it's a well-cared, well-maintained. It's just an incredible car. So give us a call at 473-7770 if you'd like to process a credit card. There's still time. It will take place. We'll have some light refreshments at 6 o'clock at the Gatto's on Hibiscus this Saturday. And at 7 p.m., the lucky winner will be drawn. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, we have a special guest who's no stranger to this radio station, Mr. Bill Johnson. Welcome, Bill.
Good afternoon.
Bill Johnson is a board-certified elder law attorney. So for those who are not familiar with what it takes to become a board-certified attorney, Bill Johnson, perhaps you can explain the various levels and how that happens.
Well, to become board certified in any discipline under the Florida bar, you have to undergo a peer review where they send out mailers to other attorneys and ask them questions about you. Mm-hmm. You also have to take a test.
Okay.
You have to pass the test, obviously, and you have to show proficiency in the areas that are covered by your specialty.
Okay.
So in elder law, we talk about estate planning, public benefits, senior housing, fiduciary arrangements, healthcare advance directives, all kinds of things like that, Medicare, Medicaid.
Okay, so unlike a typical civil law attorney, your specialty is really dealing with elder law and the various things that people should take note of making plans on.
Correct. Basically anything somebody over 55 would need to worry about.
Okay. And that's important because I think that a lot of people just think, well, I'm just going to maybe, those who are internet savvy, well, I can just get a will done online. Well, take your chance, right?
Well, you can look my firm up on William A. Johnson, PA, on Facebook.
Okay.
And I just published an article on there.
You're kidding.
That talks about why that may not be the best idea. So, there's a plug for my Facebook page, but...
And that was totally unplanned, by
yes,
the way.
and so there are some things you can discover on there, and we'll constantly keep that updated.
Fantastic. So if somebody did want to visit your Facebook page, why don't you go ahead and give that address again?
It was William A. Johnson, PA.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
you just put that in the search engine, it should come up.
Okay, perfect. Well, I jokingly just mentioned about going on the internet, and I certainly didn't expect that response, but people think, well, hey, I can find anything on the internet these days, and I don't have to pay an enormous amount to have a will drawn up or a trust. So, it's a risk, I believe, that you'd be
Yes.
taking. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree. We get a lot of those that are not done properly. People don't understand how to put them together. Then there's a whole bunch of them that people don't do the execution requirements correctly,
Okay.
which renders the whole issue void. So you may end up with something totally not what you want, or some sort of confusing document.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of pitfalls to that.
Well, and I think, too, because I get some callers that are coming in from maybe the Northeast or the Midwest, they're moving to Florida, and they think, well, I've got everything that was done there. What are the chances that maybe that may not be applicable in the state of Florida? Is that a possibility?
That is a possibility. Each state has rules that govern the wills, trusts, powers of attorney, healthcare surrogate, and living wills that are done in that state. Generally, will accept out-of-state documents, but then again, there could be an interpretation issue or something else like that that could create a problem that may be a little unforeseen.
Well, I think a lot of people take for granted if they've had that done in Maine, and now they're moving to Brevard County, that the fact is that, like you say, it may not be appropriate for them in our specific county because the laws and the rules are totally different from state to state.
Yes, like I said, we do have statutes that say that those documents would be valid in Florida if they were properly executed in the state you moved from. However, again, it may be an interpretation issue.
Okay.
Like in New York, the power of attorney is just a one-page form where you check the boxes. Yeah, we'll recognize it, but that won't be enough to do anything.
Okay.
Within Florida.
Okay. I believe that we have a caller on the line here. Do we have Carrie Fink on the line?
Yes, we do. How are you guys this afternoon?
Oh, we're fine. How is it going for you out there at the Moose Lodge today?
It is a great day out here on Merritt Island. We're actually at the Moose Lodge on Merritt Island, and we're part of the senior fair that's going on here. And they've had a really good attendance out here throughout the day. In fact, I would say surprisingly good. I was actually talking with one of the organizers, and they were saying that usually, people like to respond to events that are close to home. And so I guess when you think about it, Merritt Island is close to home for a lot of people. So we've had a lot of people. They've been coming by getting their fresh, brand-new edition of the Helping Seniors newsletter, conveniently located in the center of Senior Scene magazine, and they've been picking up flyers and information about the Win the Car, and they've been getting information about the Senior Information Hotline, and it's just been a good day out here.
Fantastic. So you were surprised, I know, when I spoke to you earlier, that there were a lot of people in Merritt Island.
There really are, and when we were talking to the folks at Central Florida Expos who do these around the county, they said that's part of what they like to do. They like to get into areas. If you remember, we were at one up in Titusville maybe a few months back, and of course we were all together in Melbourne here just a few weeks ago.
Correct.
And so now we're here in Merritt Island, and it's interesting because it's different people, of course, who are able to access the different events here.
Absolutely. Well, I specifically like Merritt Island. That's where I reside, so I like the idea that everything's really so close, and, we don't have to drive 30 miles to get from point A to point B. So I think you'll find that it's a different type of senior population perhaps in Merritt Island that maybe you saw in the Melbourne. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, that's such a good point. I think you're exactly correct because again, as we were talking about it, there's no question that the people who come out here today, especially, have been very serious about getting information. Sometimes people laugh because there's so many good free things to pick up.
Yep.
You certainly see people who walk around, I want to get a keychain, I want to get a pill box, I want to get a whatever.
Any
but
promotional
these people are actually taking the time to really get information from the different vendors that were here. And there's a lot of interesting things. We were sitting across from a retina specialist here in Melbourne Island. Their practice is here in Melbourne Island. So
you
they
mean
were
Merritt
wanting to
Island?
make sure Merritt Island, right? And they were wanting thanks, and they were wanting to make sure that they were reaching out to people that this is a convenient location for them.
Mm-hmm.
There's a group over here that specializes in medical. They have actually patents now on a couple of medical braces that help with like back problems and knee problems.
Oh, wow.
So they've come all the way over from Tampa to present at this kind of an event. So there's all sorts of things. There's also many people who are good friends of helping seniors, like Vitas Hospice and healthcare is always a major part of these events.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's just nice to see so many good people that are sincere about getting information out to seniors in our community.
Fantastic. And of course, we need to promote the fact that everything we do, including this radio show today, will be archived on our website, helpingseniorsofbrevard.org. So with our special guest today, Bill Johnson, who's a board-certified elder law attorney, a lot of the people attending today would be very much interested, I would believe, in what he offers. And before we were going on the air, Bill was saying that, for some people that think, well, I've got everything squared away, but Bill Johnson, you offer actually a free consultation, correct?
Yes, we do. And if you bring your legal documents with you, we'll take a look at them for free, too.
So that's important to spread the word. The partners that we have helping seniors of Brevard are astounding. They're all trustworthy in their business and services, and certainly the fact is that when we try to reach out to educate via our radio show, our television shows, our print, our newsletter, etc. Carrie, which brings us back to you. I think people may not recognize your name specifically listening to this program today, but why don't you share with our listening audience what your job is and how you participate with helping seniors of Brevard?
It's a great question, Kate. People have been up all day saying, well, what's kind of your role here? And actually, it's myself and our daughter, Anna, who you know well, is actually on site, too, and meeting and greeting. So we've got a couple of people on the Helping Seniors team out here today.
Good.
And so my role specifically here is I've served really since Joe Stepler, our founder and president, who launched the vision for this. And, he said, we've really, Kay, we've really got to get people in the community aware of the needs of seniors, and that means everybody. That means, obviously, seniors themselves need to be aware of resources.
Right.
The governmental, our commissioners, our city managers, all the people who are connected with that need to understand the special needs of our seniors, especially when it reaches, when it's 1 in 4 people in Brevard County who are over 65, and then 1 in 2 are AARP definition 50 plus. And so my role is I've been media director all along, helping the organization do its best to get the word out via all the various vehicles. And, that's one of the things that's fascinating. People come up and they pick up their copy of Senior Scene. They tell me how much they enjoy the magazine. And so many people, they look for Joe's article in there. Because, every month, not only do we have our newsletter in there, which has great topics and information for so many people, but they also recognize Joe because Joe has just been a long time advocate. People know him.
Absolutely.
They know the name Joe's Club. They know all the things that Joe has done over these many years to help seniors.
Right.
And, Joe is 82 and still fighting strong every single day for seniors, and it's really an inspiration to the rest of us. So my role in this is just to help us do everything we can to get that word out. And one of the ways we're doing that these days, too, is through these senior fairs. We reached, 400 people today who came through the doors here at the Moose Lodge in
Wow.
Merritt Island, which is actually a lovely, lovely place. I've never been in here before. This is an amazing facility.
Oh, yeah, I looked on the website. It's pretty cool what they've got inside there and all the different various rooms and so forth. forth. Well, it just goes to show you maybe we need to reach out in Merritt Island a little bit more than too, Carrie.
I think so. And we were talking, the events that are coming up, and we're going to end up, these are all going to be on the website, and they will all be, of course, on our Facebook page, which, you know, if you haven't friended us on Facebook, come over and like us at Helping Seniors of Brevard. And it's a great way to stay in touch with all the things that the organization's doing. We have, of course, I know you guys will be talking about it a lot, is everything coming up on Saturday with the Win the Jaguar grand finale and giveaway drawing there at Gatto's. But the events that are coming up, we've got one coming up January 25th. We're going to be back at the Wickham Park Senior Center. We've got one coming up February 8th, beachside at the Crown Plaza Oceanfront. And then, of course, sort of a spring version of the same one we were just at in September at the Melbourne Auditorium. The Mega Senior Expo and Health Fair will be back at the Melbourne Auditorium March 29th. There's a lot of great events that are coming up full of good information. But personally, I'm just excited about what's coming up Saturday. What about you guys?
Oh, absolutely. I started off the show mentioning that because we're down to the wire that the Jaguar, the 1992 Jaguar, will be given away this Saturday evening at the Hibiscus location of Gatto's. And there's still time to purchase tickets, folks. I can actually take a credit card. Carrie can take a credit card. And we'll bring those tickets with us Saturday because we realize that, you know, you probably wouldn't have enough time to get it mailed back to us at this point. But we assure you those tickets, we can fill them out for you. We can run a credit card. And Gatto's, to my knowledge, is still selling tickets at all locations, and they accept a check or cash. So we'll be picking up those ticket sales as well. So it's a beautiful car.
One of the points that Joe brought up about the car, because we were talking about this when we were all together at the Senior Expo over in Wickham Park a couple of weeks ago, and he mentioned to people, he said, you know, a lot of times when you hear about a car raffle, you know, you're competing in this national arena where there are millions and millions of entries, or certainly hundreds of thousands. Your opportunity when you participate in the Helping Seniors raffle, your odds become, not only are you helping a very important cause, but your odds are like incredible because of the number. I've had a number of people say, "Well, how many tickets are there?" And your numbers are in the few thousands, not in the tens of thousands.
Not like the
so
Powerball.
It really makes, this is not like lightning has to strike you. This is like somebody is going to drive home that beautiful Jaguar, and it's an exciting day. It's going to be coming up Saturday.
Right. Well, Carrie Fink, I want to see if you have any questions you'd like to address to Bill Johnson here from your angle here. I don't know if you probably didn't get a chance to listen to the first portion of the program, but you know you've known Bill too, and we've had him on a number of different television programs throughout the years and so forth. So, I'd like to address and see if you have any questions for Bill Johnson.
Well, first of all, as always, you know, we've had the pleasure of working together on the television programs and the radio programs, and Bill is an amazing resource. You know, when you talk about elder law attorneys, board certified, the years of experience, and you know, and as you know, Joe would not work with anybody that he did not really admire and respect for their professional knowledge. You know, but here's a statistic, Bill, that I heard recently, and I don't know if it's true. Is it true that over 70% of people die without the most basic provision, a basic will? Is that even remotely correct?
That sounds probably pretty close. Yeah, we run into quite a few people who don't have wills, and certainly a lot of people die with out-of-date wills. You know, wills that we get some that people did when they went off to World War II. So, you know, and they haven't updated them since then. So, yeah.
And I know. Yeah, and I was going to say, it's phenomenal when you hear a statistic like that, and when the other part of it that I think people, and this was a revelation just from things we went through in our own family, because our mothers had done some documents, so we were prepared when certain situations came up with them. But I understand it gets very complicated if you have a medical situation, you get to the hospital, and you're the family member that's having to try to help somebody else in your family. If you don't have all that paperwork, that becomes a very, very constrained situation. I'm sure you're used to stepping in and having to help kind of like the firefighter, but isn't it better if people are able to sit down, take a few minutes, and get ahead of that curve?
Yes, it is. You should have your advance directives done because, you know, if something happens to you and you need somebody to give informed consent for a procedure or talk about supplying or withdrawing life-sustaining treatments. We need to know what your wishes are, and if we don't know what those are and we don't have a decision maker, we could end up in guardianship court at thousands and thousands of dollars.
So it is very important, and it's a good point, Carrie Fink, that you brought up, because a lot of people just don't pay attention to it. Well, we've got about a minute and a half here before we're going to take our first break. Do you have something more to add to that, Bill Johnson?
Yeah, and Carrie, I just Googled it. It's 55%.
Whoa.
Wow.
55%.
But that's still an amazing number when you think about it. And, is it because I know Joe has really impressed all of us that are connected with helping seniors how important it is that we get information in the hands of people so they're making wise decisions. He's always been about aging with dignity and enjoying these years. And isn't there a peace of mind? What do people? Is it they're afraid to, or how do you as an elder law attorney encourage somebody to take those steps?
Well, I can tell you, when we end up in some of these will litigations or litigations in guardianship court where people don't have documents done, the first thing I ask everybody around the table is, what have you learned from this? And invariably, most of the people around the table don't have their own documents done.
Right. Well, Carrie Fink, we've got about 30 seconds here before our first break. If you want to be able to hang on, you're welcome to, but we'll continue the show because we're getting ready to take a quick break. But we'll be back, and we'll have Bill Johnson talk more about the importance of having some, and being vigilant, I think it's the word that you use, right?
Yes, being vigilant.
All right. Well, it's very important. And Carrie, if you want to hold on, you can be back with us. We'll take a quick break here. Stand by.
AM 1510, WMEL.
Welcome back to Helping Seniors of Brevard, the radio arm, I should say, of Helping Seniors of Brevard. My name is Kay Kaiser. I am the information specialist, so I'm the one you get on the other line, the majority, 99.9% of the time, for the callers calling in looking for available resources. I am proud to be sitting in for our president-founder, Mr. Joe Steckler, today, and we're going to get back to our legal discussion here in just a moment, but I would first like to give a special thanks to a few of our other partners that make this program possible. Riverview Senior Resort, Senior Scene Magazine, Seniors Helping Seniors, Dr. Lee Sheldon, Spotlight Magazine, the Eye Institute, the Fountains of Melbourne, Veterans Realty of Brevard, VITAS Innovative Hospice Care of Brevard, Watercrest Senior Living Group, which is Market Street Memory, Bill Johnson, who's our special guest here today. Special thanks to 1510WMEL.com, streaming online, as a matter of fact, Wusthof Health System, and Zon Beachside Assisted Luxury Living. So it's with a special pleasure to re-welcome our special guest today, Mr. Bill Johnson, a board-certified elder law attorney. Okay, and I think that probably would be a good idea. I'm going to mention that anyone who would like to call, if for whatever resource you're looking for, don't be afraid to pick up the phone and call 321-473-7770. And Bill Johnson, if they can always call me and get your number, but I think it's important if they have something, they're taking telephone numbers today, to let them know how they can reach you personally. At what number?
253-1667, and that's area code 321.
Very good. Okay. Well, prior to us taking a break, we had some interesting discussion regarding people might take just for granted that they moved from another location, part of the country, and really haven't paid attention to what their will should be up to par. And you even mentioned that some people haven't changed their will since World War II.
Correct. So a lot of times it's not necessarily whether or not the document's valid. It comes down to whether or not Florida interprets the document like you want it interpreted, or uses the same lingo. So, for example, Florida now requires that certain powers of attorney have certain types of paragraphs signed off on. So you may have a power of attorney from somewhere else, and those paragraphs may not be signed off on, and subsequently those may be rendered ineffective.
Okay.
Or it may come down to interpretation question.
Good point.
Yeah, usually in Florida you'll see a power of attorney that's somewhere like 16, 18 pages long.
Wow.
Because Florida law requires that we specifically give somebody a power. A lot of states do not. So a lot of Florida law is really designed to protect our seniors.
I was just going to say, yeah.
We go overboard, where a lot of states
Better.
don't have that problem. They have a bigger mix of population
Right.
and fewer seniors, so a lot of their legislation isn't tailor-made toward that population.
Well, Bill Johnson, you were telling me prior to the show that you're going to be attending a special event here in the not-too-distant future, and you being a selected elder law attorney being board certified, I think it'd be great to kind of share some of that forum coming up.
Yeah, we have tomorrow, Orlando, the Academy of Florida Elder Law Attorneys meets, and we have two sessions. One is kind of on Saturday, which is open to any attorneys who are participating. And then we have also a kind of closed-door session on Friday that is limited to people who have extensive experience in the field,
Okay.
at least 5 years minimum experience. And it's kind of a first come, first serve. And what they do is just simply a brainstorming session, to put it frankly, for an all-day kind of thing where we throw ideas around a room and people comment on them, and you're in there with all your fellow elder law attorneys. So it's kind of a unique event, and it is a good way to get some knowledge on some very complex issues.
Okay. Well, I think that it sounded like you say kind of brainstorming and just talking back and forth amongst your peers and so forth would be an important, way to bring to the attention. Somebody might be a little more, interested in learning about this versus something else and all that. But you're right. People move to Florida for a reason. And, we're enjoying that beautiful weather that time of the year here, which is great, especially during the holiday season.
And that's big business in Florida.
You
so
bet.
we purposefully have to protect those people, because you wouldn't be moving to Florida to retire if you knew that, there are a lot of people out there scamming you and things like that.
Absolutely. Well, with your being in the elder law attorney specialty, Bill Johnson, what do you see as the future here coming up let's even talk about the end of the year and what people maybe should be planning for and be thinking about and taking care of?
Well, the end of the year, one is, that's usually the time of year that you take your required minimum distributions from your IRAs and 401ks.
Right.
So you should be thinking along those lines.
Make a nice holiday gift, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and the penalty is really stiff. So you don't want to get
Right.
caught with a 50% penalty for failing to do that. Additionally, you probably should pull out all your documents while you have the family down.
That's a good idea.
And sit
Absolutely.
down, have a family meeting, and talk about what the plan is if you pass away, or if you have an incapacity event, so that you are prepared and everybody in the family knows what the plan is.
Right. And a lot of people hesitate sometimes. They think, oh, well, I don't want to bring up the situation with mom and dad right now. It's the holidays, so, but at the other end of the spectrum, it's really for the benefit of the entire family to really be able to say, here are things that, we need to be looking at collectively.
Yes, it's a good time to kind of regroup, figure out where everything is. When the family comes down to visit mom or dad, that's also a good time for the family to get a gauge where mom and dad are at.
Exactly.
You know, where are they at mentally? Where are they at physically?
Right.
Financially?
All of the above.
All of the above. So it kind of gives them a good feeling of what's going on. As you know, people sometimes with dementia can present very well. And if you're just talking to them on the phone, you may not even know.
That's right.
And then when you get there in person and you visit with them, all of a sudden those deficits become very apparent. So a lot of times, right after the holiday season, we get a flood of phone calls from people wondering how they can protect mom or dad and because of things they discovered over the holiday season.
That's very important, Bill Johnson. You're listening. My name is Kay Kaiser, by the way, today, the information specialist for helping seniors of Brevard. So if you have any further questions or looking for those resources, be sure to call us at 321-473-7770. Bill Johnson's got some great advice, and I highly recommend if you have any consideration and looking towards, and don't feel afraid to call him. Bill, why don't you shout out your number here again?
It is 321-253-1667. Also, I should mention we publish a book, the Florida Long-Term Care and Nursing Home Answer book. If you want a free copy of that, you can call our office and we'll mail one out to you.
Are you planning on a new one in the future?
It'll be in the new publication coming out.
And when do we expect that?
Sometime, I believe, in February.
Okay, well, I want to make sure I get a few
We have
of
to
those.
wait for all the new numbers to come out, and then we plug in all the new numbers, and then that'll be coming out.
By the way, I have that publication you have, and it's an excellent reference book. It certainly is well written. It gives a lot of good information. You've done a great job on putting that information together, so hats off on you.
Oh, thank you.
Too, we look at the end of the year, and maybe some seniors have a lockbox. What do you bring to what's kind of consideration on that, Bill Johnson? What do you think?
In a lockbox, you need to make sure that you have somebody else's name on it so they can get into it.
Good point. Again, talk to your family members and bring your family into this.
So if you have all your important documents and they're at the bank and nobody else is on there, then we got to go to court, get a court order to open up the box. So we don't want to have to go through that big headache.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you do have one of those, if you keep your documents at home, I'd recommend a fireproof safe.
Good idea.
You can get those at Walmart. They're not very expensive.
Yeah,
30,
or
30,
BJ's. They sell them all at the wholesale clubs too.
And so that would be a simple way, but you need to make sure it's fireproof in case you have a house fire,
right?
So that nothing burns up in it.
Absolutely. Do you recommend backing up anything? I mean, if somebody has like inventory, they've got some.
Well, when I do people's documents, I keep copies.
Okay.
So there are copies that are in my files. So if something did happen to yours, I would have copies of everything.
Okay. What about if somebody's got a lot of very expensive artwork or jewelry?
They should have it all appraised.
That's number one.
And they need to itemize it on their homeowner's insurance as well. Otherwise, it won't be covered if there is a loss. As far as, your will or trust, if you're going to leave those to certain people, you need to be very specific. If you can't identify it using just words, take a picture of it.
Well, I was going to say, I did that with my own belongings, and I put it on a DVD. So, and then I made a copy of the DVD, so I got it, and so I know where that is. And if it comes up, well, how can you prove that you had it? Here it is. Let's walk room by room by room, and let's put it all on DVD. So, there are a lot of different ways. Put it on your little flash drive.
Right.
Carry that. Put that in your purse. My goodness sakes, or put that in your lockbox because you can just plug that into a computer.
Correct.
So there's a lot of different ways to protect yourself, Bill Johnson, and in a lot of to not have the frustration and dealing with things at a spur of the moment and people panicking. What do I do? And how do I do in front of this? So I think it's very important. What do you think? Now we're coming into the not too distant future, the end of the year. Is there anything else you can recommend to our listening audience, that things they might want to do?
Well, like I said, you need to look through your documents and you need to go through those and see if they're all up to date. We recommend that you go through all your documents at least once every 5 years.
Okay.
But, like I said, if you have family coming to visit, that would be a good time to do that. It would also be a good time to review your finances.
Absolutely.
What your stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, what those allocations are, and to look at any long-term care situations that might be coming up, as well as, what are your insurance needs and things like that. So you really should do a whole legal, financial kind of review.
Right.
As to what those needs are, as well as kind of having a good pulse of what your healthcare situation is.
Absolutely. So it would be a good time, and during the holidays, now you got family and friends visiting us, but to be able to sit down with your family members and say, all right, many people don't talk about, to their children, and I know that Joe Steckler's brought this up numerous times, the children and the grandchildren, if something were to happen to me, what is it that you would like? Instead of just waiting to the last minute and people grabbing and having a frustration of fighting even, I hate to say it.
True, yeah, and you may do that with your kids. Sometimes people do that ahead of time. If we know that somebody's going to be downsizing, what could the kids, take out so that we don't have to move it.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And, it can create a lot of family feuds, when parents pass away, and then I know...
and if you have an item that 2 or more kids want, you could set up some sort of system.
Yeah.
Where everybody draws straws, so to speak, or
so it's fair.
Rolls dice or something to determine a pecking order, and then you go through the order, and then when you get to the end, you start at the end and go back up the order.
Exactly.
And
good suggestion.
Until all the things that people want are taken, and then at that point, anything that's left over, you would decide what to do with it, whether to donate it or sell it.
Exactly. Well, you're listening to, my name is Kay Kaiser. I'm the information specialist for helping seniors of Brevard, with my special guest today, Bill Johnson, a certified elder law attorney. So we've got a lot of great information here, and a lot of people thinking, this is the last thing on my mind during the holiday season to think about putting things in order, but yet it could be the most perfect time of the year to put all that in order.
Well, usually, people put off this stuff until their kids show up.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and then when the kids start asking questions, it makes it kind of the perfect time, because the rest of the year the kids may not be around. They have their own families and things to deal with.
Right.
So if you're putting these things together, this may be the time to do it.
Yeah, well, especially you'll have some idle time together, and maybe just take a break from all that shopping out there and all the crowds, and just sit down and have a nice cup of cocoa or something, or eggnog, whatever, so sit down and it's, it'll be a chance for your children also to observe, your physical, your mental, as you mentioned, all those various things that are going on because they're not with you on a daily basis. Well, Bill Johnson, looking ahead too, do you find anything happening in the realm of Medicaid?
Well, there's probably, we don't know exactly. We just had an election, and we have a new president-elect who's coming in.
Right.
And obviously we have a House and a Senate that are all of the same party. Mm-hmm. So there may be some big changes coming for Medicare, Medicaid. We know that they're going to go after Obamacare. Yeah. So that is probably one thing that'll
it's been kind of changed a little bit too. You hear one thing and then you hear, well, maybe not so much.
Well, we don't really know.
That's the bottom line.
We don't really know, and we don't really know how they would even go about that, because there's 20 million people on it. Mm-hmm. But we do know, or at least what they're saying, is that's going to be the number one priority. So that's what they've been talking about. So as I said in my article, or the article that should be coming out soon,
Right.
stay vigilant. Make sure you follow the news about these benefits. And if something goes away that you don't want it to go, make sure you tell your elected officials about it.
Hey, and I have to add to that, Bill Johnson, because I know Joe Steckler and I both feel very strongly with people that are just saying, well, I'm just not going to do anything. And unless somebody actually speaks out or makes that call or writes that letter, how the heck are these individuals or elected officials going to know about it?
Right. And, if you listen to what President-elect Trump said on the campaign trail, he said in no uncertain terms he was not going to do anything with Medicare. Now, if you listen to House Speaker Ryan, he's got big plans for Medicare, and turning it into a voucher system. So we need to really see where the rubber meets the road.
Yes.
And then if you really have feelings about this, because if the Ryan plan goes through, from what I understand, up to 40% of your Social Security payment could be used to pay for your medical costs within 10 or 15 years. A lot of people I know who live off of Social Security.
That's right.
That would be a death toll.
That would be.
Yeah.
Just imagine. I mean, I get so many callers, Bill Johnson, and people saying that I get $700-800 a month. That's it. I need help. And think how this would really affect them. I mean, if they're not a surviving spouse of a veteran, I mean, this is all they have. And they're just trying to hold on and figure out a way to just age with dignity. And it's very difficult.
Right. I get some people as low as $200 a month.
Wow.
$200 a month.
How can they possibly do that?
They were usually homemakers, and they got a portion of their husband's Social Security, and their husband's Social Security wasn't that much.
Wow.
So
if a homemaker, that's a good point, because if a wife of a husband and didn't work,
right, they don't have their own.
They don't have Social Security funds.
So then they would
away.
have to claim part of their husband's, and if there was a problem with that, or they didn't qualify, then it can be a real problem.
That'd be a real problem. And one of the things that I find from a great number of our callers calling Helping Seniors of Brevard is the need so much for affordable housing. And
yes.
It
we
is
have
devastating
waiting
here.
lists for
Yes,
that
we
here
do.
locally, and I don't know what the solution to that is. Certainly, in this state, we can get you into an assisted living or get you some home health care, but you have to have a medical problem.
That's right. And for people who don't, that's
and if
a
you don't
real
have a
issue.
medical problem and you're just healthy, and the problem is you don't have enough income to pay for food and rent.
Right.
There is very limited resources in the county
That's right.
to help those individuals, and that problem's only going to get worse here.
And I tell my callers, get your name on the list now, because there's a lot of people on those waiting lists, so don't hesitate. I want to remind those that give me a call. My name is Kay Kaiser. I'm the information specialist for Helping Seniors of Brevard, and don't be afraid to call 321-473-7770. I'm here to help, and if I don't have a solution or a resource, you better believe I'm going to go to work and do some research and try to help you.
And make sure you call Kay and get your tickets for that Jaguar.
Yes, we still have time. We're going to be giving that away this Saturday at 7 p.m. at the Gattos on Hibiscus. Thank you, Bill Johnson, for reminding on that.
A shameless plug there.
Well, it's for a night donation.
Yep.
You can buy one ticket for $25 or 5 for a $100 donation. So Helping Seniors of Brevard is a nonprofit organization, and we do our doggone best to help our senior population and our callers in Brevard County. So with that being said, we're about ready to close this program here today. I want to thank our special guest, Bill Johnson, board-certified elder law attorney, for all his great information he always has. So we'll be back next week, and hopefully Joe will be hosting the show. So in the meantime, have a great week and enjoy and be healthy.